Good day. Welcome to the channel of SA Accounting Network. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about recruitment, and I've got somebody lined up, a recruitment specialist that I've known for many years, since about 2008, and we're going to be answering some of your questions today regarding recruitment. So I think I'm going to head down to my computer and then I'll introduce you quickly to Jane Smith.
Okay. Hi Jane, how are you doing today?
Fine. Hi, how are you, Heinrich?
Good, yes, yeah. So as I mentioned before, I'm just going to have a nice chat with Jane Smith today. We've been working together since I think about 2008. I've been involved helping them out with all their tax related stuff. I think back then he actually used to be a personal tax client of mine until he started with a business. And obviously he brings a lot of expertise to this line of business. And I think where I got the idea is on the YouTube channel. I've got a couple of videos for people who are starting businesses, and one of the things that I focus on is when you're employing somebody. And I remember a while ago I went through quite a phase at my business itself where I actually had to start looking to employ somebody. And the problem is I put like a little ad out there, and I think the next moment I think I got something like about 500 people sending their CVs through. So I just decided let me get hold of Jane and see if she can assist. And I was just I've got really good service, and I think there's so much to learn. It's such a specialized field. And so Jane, how would you begin if you have to start looking at employing somebody? What would be the first step?
Okay, so I mean, when you contacted me, it was for a reason that I think most people have. That's their reason. They kind of go, okay, great, I'd like to have a new accountant, for example, and they say, okay, recruitment, it's a very big process, but let me try and do it myself. So they go and they place an advert on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on one of the platforms that they connected with, and then they get the deluge of everybody and everything that will, is looking for work. They jump on it and they send their CV out, and you stand in the background a bit like deer in the headlights. I don't know what to do. There's so many. How do you decipher what's right? How do you tell if somebody's lying? How do you decide if the person's the right cultural fit? And there's so many questions that are going to overwhelm you in that process. And that's really the benefit of using an agency. It's the time that we spend sifting through, analyzing CVs, comparing people to each other, looking through details of backgrounds, checking people out. The interview process gives you a very good feel of what the person is like from a cultural point of view. Are they going to be the right cultural fit for my business? I need somebody with a lot of energy. Does this person come with the energy I'm looking for? So those are really the benefits. Also then the kind of security aspects behind bringing a new person into your business. It's like bringing a new person into your home. You don't want just an arbitrary person that you know nothing about to come into your home. And very much so in your business as well. You've worked very hard to get your business where you've gotten it. And you definitely don't want somebody to come in and do the wrong job or produce, a bad image of your business. These days, every single person who works in your business is your business image. And you really don't want that to go down the drain either. So you really need to make sure that what you're bringing in is conducive with your culture in your business, and a person that can, if they pick up the phone, they can stand and be the face of your business, no matter who they are. Right from the bottom all the way to the top, everybody needs to fit into the cultural form. So that's really, the from a security point of view where we come in. We run all of your various checks, so your criminal checks, your ITC checks, reference checks. These kind of things really give you a well-rounded vision of what the candidate is actually about. We're very lucky in South Africa that we can still run reference checks. In a lot of countries, they don't allow you to do that. You're not allowed to give any form of reference on a person verbally. But luckily in South Africa, we're still able to do that. And it's a lengthy process for us. References take quite a long time. Firstly, you need to get hold of the person you need to get hold of, and then to sit and go through, up to 20 questions around what is the performance of this individual? How have they been with regards to arriving for work on time? How reliable are they? Have there ever been any problems in the workspace? Have they had relationship issues or health issues or anything of that kind of nature? So we dig quite deep, and very often a client might come and say, look, in the interview process, it came up, they mentioned something that we found a little bit unusual. Would you mind just bringing that up in the reference and checking with the referee whether that's something that we need to be concerned about? So we can go into depth around what your sort of, not complaints, what your concerns are, if there are any around a candidate. So it's a very intricate process. It's something that you need to take the time to do very thoroughly. Like I said before, you don't want an arbitrary person walking in and literally one person can tear down your business, one person on their own. If they're the wrong person, they can come in and they can destroy it all.
Yeah.
So you really need to be very careful. And I think that's really the biggest benefit of using an agency, is that you are utilizing the services of somebody who's going to pull it all apart and make sure that you get to the bottom of this person and make sure that they are right for your business. Yeah. It's not infallible. Okay. So there are times where things slip through the gaps, even with, I've been doing this for years, and there are times where I still am gobsmacked that people get up to what they get up to. But the point is that we are skilled at doing this, at pulling it all apart. And if anybody's going to find something, it'll be us. To try and, get you the right person. So it's really that efficiency of going through everything, being able to pick out what is needed, and then to produce the gem, produce the diamond that you've been looking for that's going to add value in your business. Because ultimately, a human resource is a resource in your business that should add value. And if they're not adding value, they shouldn't be there. So that's really the focus for me, is find the gem that takes hours and hours and hours to find.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. Just something that I want to mention as well. I remember back then when I went through the process of employing somebody, when I started speaking to you, you as a sole business owner, you wake up in the mornings and you start working. There's a point 6 o'clock in the morning, tonight 8 o'clock you stop working. That cycle repeats itself. Maybe there's a point for 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden you get this idea, maybe I should employ somebody. And I've contacted somebody like you and say, hey, Jane, I've got this bright idea. I want to employ somebody. And I think back then, one of the most amazing, well, not an amazing experience, but a very beneficial experience, is that you gave me the task to actually sit and write down what it is that I need. Because I think, I just sit there and say, okay, I haven't got enough hours in a day. What do I do? And obviously, I know the next step for me as a small business owner is to employ somebody. But just to go through the process to actually write down what it is that you're actually looking for. And I think, I think that's one thing that you assisted me quite a lot with back then, because I would write down maybe, let's say, for instance, a template of this is what I expect this new person to do. And then you would look at that process and say, listen, but this is, maybe you should change that or consider that. Do you get a lot of these type of requests with formulating jobs and stuff like that?
So yes and no. So if you deal with a bigger corporate, you're going to get a person who comes and says, look, we've had a job spec, we've had this person in the role before, so that person has put roles and responsibility together. The minute you go to SMEs, then you get, like yourself, that feeling of, okay, I want a person, but what is it that I actually want? And I think that it's extremely, extremely important. And I always, when I chat to my other consultants, really important that you know what you're looking for. And sometimes that only actually really comes out in the recruitment process. So you go through the process and you see a few people. And once you've seen a few people, you suddenly go, hang on, I actually need a person that has a degree. I can't, the people that are coming in with diplomas or certificates, it's not enough. I actually do need a person with a degree. And you might not have known that right in the beginning, but through the recruitment process, you finally come to realize, actually, hang on, the person needs to have a degree. Also, going through the recruitment process, the feedback that we get from our clients is very important. The more feedback you can give us on where we went wrong, the closer you're going to get to getting the right thing. So I always say to my clients, you can write me a whole book about why this person wasn't the right person. I will read the whole book, every last word, because the next time I send you the candidate, they're going to be perfect. So the more feedback you give, the better, the closer I'm going to get to what you're actually looking for. So it is key, Hannah, what you say, to put down, and like I say, you might not get it right the first time, but put it down, put something down, put down what are your absolute must-haves. Must have a degree, must have been in the industry for 2 years, must have picked flowers in Australia. Must-haves. Then you go to, well, nice to have. If they could have worked on a CRM system, that would be great. If they had a little bit of experience in event management, that would be really nice to have. But they're not musts.
Yes.
So the musts are, we know then, we have to have those because we need to utilize those things to be able to narrow down the 1,000 CVs we get to 4 CVs.
Yes.
So basically, we shortlist for you, we then interview and then shortlist again. So it's about narrowing down the number of people that you get so that you actually get the right fit.
Yes.
The interview process is really around cultural fit and then getting to know the kind of technical aspects of the person. But again, going back to what you said, you need to have a very, very clear vision of what you're looking for before you can go out to market to go and find it. And then it also changes. It changes as you go, like I said. You might turn around and say, look, this is just not working. I think we need a more senior person or we need a more junior person. Because as you interview, you start to learn what you're looking for.
Yes. And you were talking about the process just now. So how would that process normally work? If I pick up the phone today and say, listen, Jane, I'm running out of hours. This is the person that I'm looking for. What is the first step?
Okay, so what we usually do is have a consultation with the client, a thorough consultation with the client, either via face-to-face. I mean, I love still going and seeing people. I know COVID's out there, but we're being vaccinated and everybody's moving. So, you know, I think there's a value in going into somebody's business and walking their floors and just looking at what their business is about. What are the people like? What does the office look like? What area are they in? This kind of thing. You know, those are all selling points we can use to get the right candidate for you. So very important to go into the client's environment. If it's via Zoom, then that's how it is. I mean, that's also fine. But to learn what the business is about, consult with the client, what kind of cultural fit they want, what kind of technical abilities they need. So there's all sorts of questions that we go through with the client, and then obviously put an agreement together with our client with regards to sort of what are they going to pay us for the service, what are the guarantees going to be, so that we've got a whole contract that we put together for the client so that we both are on an understanding that we know where we stand with each other. With regards to the expectation. We then help the client go through the process of putting a spec together if necessary. So sit and say, okay, great, you're wanting an accountant. What is it that you actually are looking for in this person? And we'll actually walk you through the steps of, a little synopsis of what your business is about, a little synopsis of what you're looking for in the candidate, the roles and responsibilities, what the experience needs to be and qualifications, and we put that all together for you. We then take that and we come back to the office and we go through our process, which is basically going onto various platforms, utilizing our networks to get the word out there that our client is looking for an accountant. So we've got various platforms, LinkedIn, PNet, Career Junction, and then there's a plethora of them. And we go onto all of those systems and we get the word out. This is what we're looking for. Please apply, let us know. And then, of course, we have our own network of people that we know. So I might know a candidate I placed 2 months ago has a wife who is an accountant who lives in Fishhook. Great, perfect. Let's go call Simon. We'll phone him and see if his wife is still available, this kind of thing. So there's a lot of networking that happens. Of course, we being in the specialist environment in recruitment, we have sort of pools of people much bigger than a normal person would have, for instance, on LinkedIn. So we've got a pool of connections between us and our candidates and all the other agencies that we're connected to. So we've got a very big pool to draw on. So we go on, we place it there. We then go through the sifting process, which is the most frustrating, I think, for a normal business owner, to sift through petrol attendants, and not that they don't do a great job, they've got their place in the world, but if you're looking for a CA or an accountant, I don't want to talk to a petrol attendant, or I don't want to talk to even what do you call it, a debtors clerk. I don't want to talk to a debtors clerk. You're not an accountant. I need to speak to accountants, people that are in that space. So it's about really sifting through all of that, and coming to a shortlist, which is a list of sort of 10 or 12 people that you think, okay, you know what, these people look good. Let me start calling these people. And then the intensive conversations start to happen, because you phone every single one of those people and you go through your conversation of what are you looking for? What is your experience? Where did you get this qualification? Why did you leave this job? So it's all the questions, just trying to get to the nitty-gritty of that person. And you'll then shortlist 3 to 4 people that you decide you're going to interview. They've actually met the requirements of what your client is looking for, and you'll take them through the interview process. So you set those interviews up. We then go through quite a lengthy process of making sure we are well documented on each person. So they get sent an email that's got documentation, POPI, compliance documentation, personal information. We require things like copies of IDs, payslips. So all of that information needs to be put together efficiently, because a file needs to be opened on each person, so that if my client contacts me and says, oh, I'd like to have a copy of the person's latest payslip, I can quickly just put it on and send it off to them. So we make sure that we have a full profile or a full file on each individual. And then we go through the process of interview. So we sit down with them either face-to-face, or a lot of it's done via Zoom now. And we take them through literally step-by-step of their CV. What does this mean? When did you leave here? Why did you leave here? Literally we nitpick through every part of it. So an interview usually takes, depending on the seniority of the person, interview usually takes between 45 minutes and an hour. Sometimes if they're more senior, if you're looking at CEOs, CFOs, those guys tend to be a little bit longer because they've got longer career histories. But we just make sure that there are no gaps missing. What happened between 2010 and 2011? Were you in jail? What happened to you there? Where did you go on holiday? Did you take a sabbatical? Did you have a baby? What was happening? So we make sure all the gaps are filled. So there's nothing suspicious looking that's there. So take them through that whole process. Then every agency does it different. My agency, we take the candidate's profile and we put it onto our template. So our template is it's just a normal document that everything fits into, so that your client, when they receive your CV, they know exactly where to find things. So, okay, great. I've got a CV from Jane. I want to know what this person's earning. Go right to the bottom of the document. That's where the salary details are. So my clients always know where to find information. Everything is always there. Okay. Obviously, there might be things that I haven't asked that you might think of, that you think, oh, you didn't ask this, you didn't put it on the CV. Won't you please find out? And then obviously I go and find those things out. But yeah, basically take the CV, put it into my format, and then I would submit those CVs through to you for your review. Now, bear in mind, we've gone through a huge amount of work to put those 3 CVs together. It's usually 3 to 4 CVs that we submit per position. We've gone through thousands and thousands and thousands of profiles to come to those 3. So if we're missing something on those 3, then we need that proper feedback from the client. As I've mentioned before, feedback is everything. If I don't know where I went wrong, I can't get it right. So I always say to my candidates, as much as you can give my clients, as much as you can give me, you give me that, and I will go and find the right thing. We hope, obviously, that we've done enough digging around in your requirements to be able to have filled it the first time around. Okay, so, it is a lot of work for us, and we really don't want to repeat the process over if we can help it. So hopefully, you always think, you've done your job, you've gone and you've asked the right questions from your client, you've asked the candidates the right questions, and you pretty much know that you're going to hit it. There's an interesting dynamic that's going on at the moment where it's not really about filling jobs anymore. It's really about solution filling. It's about finding the solution that your client is looking for. your client tends to come to you these days with, oh, I've been really struggling to find a knowledge manager, for example. And I can't find the right cultural fit for this person. I've been trying, we've tried internally, we've tried. Please, can you go to market and try? So there seems to be a lot of that trend now, is to try and find the unfindable, that really, needle in a haystack kind of thing. Which is what we do. I mean, that's our specialization. We know how to go out and find those people, and we have the connections to be able to go and find them. So that's where the challenge comes in for us, and that's what makes it exciting when you manage to find that person, and you're like, wow, I did it. You couldn't find it, but I did. But that's nowadays, that's the biggest service now these days, it seems.
Good. So then after you supply them with the 3 or 4 CVs?
Okay, so we've supplied you with the CVs. We then go through the process of interviews. So set up interviews, whether it be via Zoom or face-to-face. We set everything up. Candidate goes, you interview. We then get feedback. Either, yes, it was right, we know which one we want, or no, we must go back to market. If we go back to market, we get our feedback from you and go back and find some more. Or, okay, great, I found Brad is the guy. He's the man. He's going to be my new accountant. We then go through the process of running all the checks and references and all those kind of things for you. Make sure that this person is totally verified. Those checks and references, you as the client can choose when you'd like them to be done. So I have some clients that say to me, I'd like references to be done after my first interview with the person. And rightfully so. If you feel that that's when you need them to be done, you can decide that's when I want them to be done. Generally, clients decide they want them to be done once, just before they put an offer together. They say, I would like to have references and checks done, and then we go through the process. It all depends on how the client likes to handle it. So we go through that whole process, references and checks, and then we support you through the process of the offer. Now, the offer, sometimes a candidate can turn around and say immediately, yes, I'll take it, I'm moving on, great, got it. There are, however, times where a candidate needs to be spoken through the process. They need to be guided through, why am I making this decision? There's a dynamic called a counteroffer, where they have received an offer from you, and their current boss comes and says, look, I really don't want to lose you. What are they offering you? I'll offer you more. Bad move. It's a very, very bad move for a candidate to take a counteroffer, because ultimately you had your reasons why you were leaving, and those reasons don't change. Your boss offers you money, it doesn't change your reasons. So we really guide candidates through the offer process very closely, to make sure that they're not making silly decisions. And ultimately, yes, our client is our client, but we also want what's best for our candidates. We want a happy person in your environment. If we have an unhappy person going into a new job, we're going to lose either way. Okay, so yes, we are on our client's side, but we also need to be on our candidate's side to make sure that they are making the right decisions going in, because ultimately it's their careers too. And if they don't feel that they've made the right career move, they're going to leave. And then you're going to sit in the same position again, paying another recruitment fee. So we need to manage that really closely. And we constantly are talking to our candidates around, why are you wanting to leave? What are your expectations about going into the new environment? Expectation management is really, really key when it comes to candidates, because people, they kind of build these visions in their heads of what they're going to go into, and then they sometimes overbuild it or underbuild it. So we need to manage that very, very closely. So we guide them through the process of, is this the right career move for you? And this is not just right at the end. This is right at the beginning. When you talk to them on the phone for the first time, you ask them, why are you wanting to leave? Oh, well, I'm leaving because I want more money. Okay, well, that's not a good enough reason for leaving. There has to be something else besides that. So we're constantly digging, constantly managing people, constantly interacting, constantly understanding on both sides where the client is and where the candidate is. And it's about matching that. It's about coming to the point where you match that successfully. And that's the joy in recruitment, is really finding, it's almost like matchmaking, when you love relationships, finding that love relationship between your client and your candidate. It can be quite a satisfying process when you find the right person and your client's happy and your candidate's happy. So yeah, back to the offer. take the candidate through the offer stage, get them to sign, and then we monitor them very closely during their resignation period. Most people have a month's resignation period or a 30-day resignation, and you monitor them very closely because obviously they're still in their work environment and things can go awry during that period. It is quite a lengthy period, so we monitor them quite quickly, and then we get them to you on the first day to start. Thereafter, we continue to monitor them. Okay, so we continue to make contact with the candidates to see how are things going on the first week. How was your first week? First month, how was the first month? Second month, how was the second month? So just to make sure that the candidate is still on board, that things are still going positive. And if anything's happened, we can stand in and say, look, Heinrich, Brad said there was an altercation with someone in the office. He didn't really want to mention it to you, but maybe you need to just chat to him with regards to that. He's not sure how to handle it. And then you can have the heads up to go to the candidate and speak to the candidate. So we try and avoid as much as possible for the candidate to come in and leave. Ultimately, we want them to come in, be happy, add value, and stay on for years. But yeah, everybody's different, and we need to, and that's I think that's the challenge. It's interaction. It's personal interaction. People change their minds. They one day they're this, the next day they're that. It's to try and manage that interaction well, and get, like I say, always the right fit for the client and their business.
Yeah, so there's quite a process to go through. Good.
There is quite a process. It is. But you get used to it. And it's, yeah, it's a process that's repeated over and over, but that's where the skill comes. That's why you use an agent, because we have done it thousands of times. We can pick out when there's problems quickly. And, it's of no benefit for us to continue with a candidate that has dropped the ball, because he's going to drop the ball in your environment and then we're going to lose the placement anyway. So I'm of the opinion, you do it right the first time. If there are problems that appear, you say it, you tell your client up front, and we move on and carry on and find another person. There's no point in going through with an unethical placement. You're going to lose on the other side anyway. And then you damage two people's lives. You damage the candidate's life and you damage the business owner's life. And I don't want to do either of those. So it really is about, it's the ethics behind recruitment is very important for me. My business logo, it's Propel Personnel, but our little sort of caption at the bottom is being the change. If you meet, you speak to anybody, they'll tell you recruitment agents are sharks. They're really not very ethical people, and, this kind of thing. I've very much focused on my business being different to that, because, there's so much horribleness in the world. Rather just be good and do it right. So that you can impact people's livelihood, their livelihood positively. You don't want to go and drag people down. You want to build them up. So yeah, we focus very heavily on the ethical side of it and making sure that everything is above board, done right. If there are issues, you tell the client, and very often the client will pull out, and that's fine. I would rather have the right candidate at the end of 4 processes than the wrong candidate at the end of first.
Yes.
So yeah, the ethical side is very important too.
For sure. I think maybe just something that's just worth mentioning is you just briefly talked about your website. So if people want to get hold of you, obviously I'll put the website address in the link in the description of the video itself.
Yes, it's www.propelp.co.za. Otherwise, you're welcome to contact me directly. That's Jane at propelp, P for Peter, .co.za, or they're welcome to WhatsApp me or phone me on my cell phone. It's 082-678-1091. Happy anywhere.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think, is there anything else that you would think that we should talk about? I think we covered it.
I think we've pretty much covered it, Heinrich. It's been, it is a long process, and I get it, it's quite intricate. But it's important to understand the process so that you can see that the process has been done properly. There are a lot of agencies out there that will skip the interview process, for example. They'll just go onto a platform and grab a CV off there, send it to you and say, look, here's a candidate. And then you say, oh, great, I'd love to see this candidate, but they've never actually been interviewed before. So you need to be very careful who you're taking on board as a partner in the recruitment space, because there are a lot of people that cut corners. So, if you're looking at an agency, make sure that you do your homework, ask them what their process is, make sure that they are getting documentation from candidates. Do they even have the person's copy of their degree? I mean, how do you know a person has a degree? Some people even forge these documents. So you need to make sure that the agency you're using is really covering their bases properly and doing the proper process. It's easy to cut corners, and those are where the corners are they're going to come and bite you back. Yeah. So a heads up to any business owner, I would always say, is just do your research. Make sure the person you're using is really doing the job properly. So yeah, that would be one thing that I'd like to mention. Other than that, yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot. I wouldn't say that there's anything that we've missed out, but if there are any questions, I'm very happy to take questions from people. They can email me, WhatsApp me, phone me. Very happy to chat through that. One thing, I mean, we can talk about also, Heinrich, is just with regards to fees in the industry. What does this kind of thing cost you?
Yes, what does it cost you?
So the industry norm is to charge a percentage of the person's annual income. Okay. Years ago, I mean, when I started in this, it was like 25%. It's much lower now. I think if you can get an agency at 12, 13%, even a little bit lower than that, you're doing quite well. Okay. So, for example, I mean, so you basically take the yearly cost to company package. That includes your basic salary, your medical aid, your pension, and then you multiply that by the percentage that you've agreed on with your client, with your agency. That will then be what it costs you. So it's generally, very, very broadly, generally around a month's salary. Okay. Roundabouts. Yeah. Okay. So that's generally what it'll cost you. What I always say to people is you think that that's a lot of money until you get the wrong person in your business. You're going to lose a whole lot more money with the wrong person. Okay. So, in Afrikaans, there's that saying, goedkoop is duurkoop. Yeah. So don't do it on your own because that's the cheapest way to do it. But it won't always be. You might do a great job of it. Yeah. But there are chances that it's going to go wrong. And then you've got no backup. You've got no guarantee. You've got nobody to help you. You are stuck then with that person. Yes. Using an agency, you've got guarantees. You've got things where we can really help you to find new people, to replace the person if they're not the right person. So, there's a level of risk management that you've also got in recruitment. Really, in recruitment, the recruiter takes the risk. The recruiter takes the risk until you actually appoint that person. We go and do all of that work without being paid a cent. It's the day that we actually place the person that we get paid. So actually, we take all the risk, and that's really what we're selling you. We sell the risk management that you don't then have to take on your own. So I think those would be the big benefits of why I would say use a recruiter. But then again, make sure you use the right person.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I think with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I see we've been chatting for quite a while, almost just over 2 minutes.
It's gone quickly.
Yeah.
Jay, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me to come on your channel.
What happens. I'm sure that we're going to be able to help a lot of people out there. Now, just once again, so all the people watching, remember to just like the video and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, Jane's details will be at the bottom of the video as well if you want to get hold of her. And then, let's see how she can help you guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much. Bye.